8. Good. How many sounds have you got? 8. How many phonemes are in 8? 2. What are the letters that go E-I-G-H-T? Okay? So that's your letters. But phonemes are just the sounds. Does that make sense? It's just the sounds. Okay. And the phonemic awareness is like crucial. You've got to have this if you're going to expect to read, which is way before what we're talking about today. But phonemic awareness is like if you take fish, and change your to what's your new word? Yeah, what if you change it to ah? Yeah, so phonemic awareness is you're going to start playing with sounds in your head, just like Dr. Seuss does and Pig Latin. You want to teach those things to happen, okay? In the same way, you could do it with these morphemes. If we have what if we do construct, okay? Can you do me construct? Okay, change con to destruct. Okay, so which one do you want somebody to do to your house? Construct. Yeah, what does destruct? What's another word that means that? We changed the struct a little bit. Destroy. So it's coming from there. It's coming from there. So the morphemic awareness, the morpheme is going to be the smallest meaningful linguistic unit, like struct. Struct. You can't break that down and have meaning in any of those pieces. They're just sounds. So what if we had a word, or like ed at the end, ed. So what if we have a word like, what if we say walk? Okay, walk. How many morphemes, how many meaningful pieces would that be? Yeah, it's just going to be one, just walk. But what if we put ed on it? Walked. So now how many have you got? Well, you've got one syllable, walked, but how many meaningful? Actually, ed, does it change the meaning? I'm so glad you're asking. Yeah, so if you walk, and if I want to say I walked and put ed on it, does it mean anything different from just I walk? Yeah, so what does it mean different?
Prior.
Yes, so good. So ed is a morpheme because it changes the meaning. It's a morpheme.
So it's not a sound.
Right, this doesn't have to do with sound in itself. It has to do with the ed changes the meaning. So this is great. So what if you make it be walking? Can you chunk it with your hands? Walking. So you've got walk as a morpheme, and what's the morpheme that made you know what's happening now? So that's a morpheme. Does that make sense? That's what we're going to be playing with. What if you wanted to have it say unwalking? Unwalking. Now how many word parts you have? Yeah, you have 3. Unwalking. So that's what we're going to be playing with. And it'll get better as we go along. But think about it. This is cool. Like the word winner. Like I am a winner. Okay? Can you chunk? What is it? The base of winner is win. So can you chunk win? And what's the part that tells that it's somebody who did it? Yeah, so there's a morpheme, win and But winter, like the season winter, is only one morpheme. Does that make any sense? It's because a winter is just a word that just means one thing. And you can't break winter into just, if you make it say win, what did winter win? It's not part of the meaning. Does that make sense? It's just a syllable. Yeah, it's just a syllable.
What a little magic thing for helping the students. Most students have a problem when I start teaching about morphemes, and then they learn about syllables, and they want syllables to be morphemes so badly.
Yeah.
And it's just teaching them over and over. That's all I can do with them.
Yeah, I guess I would do a lot. That's a great question. I mean, I would do a lot of real words that do mean something. Jumping, those words that mean something. And then if you have winter, and then talk about, well, what did you win? That it didn't really mean anything, maybe. Yeah, or like I don't have a jingle, but we ought to think of one. We ought to think of one. So you have these, and affix just means anything that you fix onto something. Like you add, I'm going to affix to Sam. If I put something on him, affix. So just prefixes and suffixes are just 2 types of affixes. I didn't mean to do that. This shows you should not do this. Okay. I think I skipped the slide. No, I didn't. Okay. Okay. I want you to touch the back of your brain, because this is going to be just talking about why we want to use our whole body. Touch this back and say, seeing. This is the visual part of your brain, the occipital lobe. You're going to see. You have eyes in the back of your head, like kids say, so you're seeing. What if you touch above your brain, above your ears? This part of your brain is the temporal lobe, and it's where you're hearing and analyzing, okay, sounds. You're hearing and analyzing, and this is in your handout, right? I think and do you have a handout? You do have a handout. Okay, good. So the hearing. So give me vision again. Tell me seeing. And hearing and analyzing and moving and touching. Yeah, touch it and move it, the parietal lobe up here. So what Samuel Orton figured out in the 1920s was that if you get like of Orton-Gillingham, which is the basis of the kind of therapy that we're doing, that is so works amazingly well, he figured out as a neurologist that if you open up your whole brain, you use the vision and the hearing and the moving and touching all at once, it opens the doors in your brain and it makes things work. And studies have actually shown, and Sally Shaywitz in Overcoming Dyslexia has pictures of it, where when you do Orton-Gillingham-based therapy or multisensory structured language education therapy, which is also Orton-Gillingham, you can actually show, your MRI can show that your brain corrects itself. Your blood flow in your brain corrects itself, which is pretty amazing. I mean, you can, because a person who is reading with a dyslexic brain is using the right side of the brain. That's where on an MRI it shows it lighting up in the front on the right, and it should be lighting up 3 places on the left, mostly in the back in that visual part, but the visual, the auditory, and the Broca's area up front, it should be 3 places on the left, but in a dyslexic brain, it's mostly in the front on the right. Okay, and what this is so cool though is this wonderful brain difference is also what gave us Disney World and Robin Williams and Jay Leno and Kinko's and Charles Schwab and Steven Spielberg and iPods and Apples. You know, when somebody is highly creative, this kind of brain, for some reason, this kind of brain is extra good at thinking and thinking out of the box. If anybody dyslexic kids that may be out of the box a little bit, think out of the box? Yeah, you think out of the box. Like, can you see the big picture maybe? Like I had a mother tell me just this week, when she just figured out she was dyslexic and she didn't know it when I diagnosed her child, and she said, oh my gosh, she said, I've always had friends tell me, you think of things that nobody else thinks of, and she just didn't believe them, but like decorating cakes or doing creative, she can just see the whole picture. Or she was a point guard in basketball and she could visualize all the plays which other people couldn't see. Is that something that happens to you? Yeah, you can see it, right? Yeah, and like a father who figured out he was dyslexic at my house the other day, who was a pathologist, and he looks at, tumors, and like he told me, he said, oh, this is why when I can just visualize all the margins of the tumor, and the other doctors think, how do you do that? But he doesn't have to see it all. His brain can he can see it in his brain. So all of these are wonderful talents. Okay, so we want to wake up the brain by doing, wake up the brain. Like the brain loves to see patterns, and the brain loves novelty. Just doing something in a different way. Like I had a child a long time ago that wasn't talking. This wasn't dyslexia, but using novelty. This child wasn't talking, and what I did to get him to talk was I put his favorite little Mickey Mouse stuffed animal up on the fan blade, and he would say go for me to turn on the fan and fling Mickey off. And I'm sure he thought this woman is crazy, but he would say go, and he wouldn't say anything else.